What you need to do is solve this before it gets even more out of hand.
If all the blood is gone, where does it go?
It's almost like a bite.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2022 horror Dracula, the original living vampire, a film that is directed by Maximilian Elfelt, and it stars Jake Herbert, Christine Prouty, India Lily Davis, and Michael Ironside. Now, this film is essentially another retelling of the classic vampire Dracula story. It follows a very, very similar storyline, even if it is very, very trimmed down version of the Gary Oldman Dracula. Dracula comes over to seek his lost love. He's taken out all the redheads he can find. The local detective, Amelia Van Helsing, yes, Van Helsing is a woman this time, is trying to track down the killer. Her girlfriend, Mina Murray, has more than a passing interest in regards to looking very similar to Dracula's long lost love, so on and so forth. Yes, it's the same old story, guys. Right, what do I think of Dracula, the original living vampire? Not much, really. This is an asylum film. Yes, I can hear the collective sigh around the YouTube community, or whoever is watching this review right now. Asylum doesn't have a great reputation. They make ultra low budget films, horror, sci-fi, action, you name it, they do it. I've watched a number of them over the years, and yeah, generally speaking, they're not of high quality, and this is of no exception. However, for an asylum film, I'm going to get some positives out of the way first here. I thought the acting here, while obviously not Oscar worthy by any stretch of the imagination, the acting on display here is decent and adequate by everybody involved. Didn't really have an issue with the performances here. It's kind of, the level you would expect for a low budget film. The effects also for an asylum film are better than I have probably seen in a while in an asylum film. Now, this film is not chocked full of effects or anything like that, but some effects that you do see in the film, don't massively kick you out of the immersion of the film. And there are some decent vampire effects near the end of the film, where the vampires essentially look fairly effective, including Dracula. Even if the actors with the fangs in are talking like, they're eating a bag of gobstoppers or something. It's the usual thing. You put a pair of these fangs in an actor's mouth, they can't say the lines properly. That really is the end of my positives for this thing. It's a classic story that has been shown no real respect here by the filmmakers, unfortunately. It follows very, very loosely the Dracula story we all know, and I mean very loosely. As I say, Van Helsing's a woman. Don't really have an issue with that, if I'm being honest. But they also choose to put her in a relationship with Mina, who normally, if memory serves, Mina, certainly in the Gary Oldman version, Mina was in love with the Keanu Reeves character. No such luck here. And I don't like being cynical, but there are a couple of scenes in this film where it's it's got a couple of sexy scenes, I suppose. One at the beginning with Dracula seducing a woman that he's ultimately going to kill, and another one later in the film with Van Helsing and her girlfriend having a bedroom scene together, that didn't serve the story at all, other than really to get a bit of the old blood boiling with the old teenager that might be watching this sort of thing. It just felt cheap to me, and the film didn't need it. And ultimately, I think that maybe they're trying to be modern. Maybe they're trying to be clever by twisting some of these characters about and thinking they're making them more relevant for a modern audience or something. It just seems silly. These are classically written characters. Either stick to the game plan, stick to the script, or, do your own story, but name them different things. It just seems a little bit odd to me. Another thing, a little positive, I suppose, is that the whole thing is presented in like a postmodern way, in a sense. It's almost like a steampunk. It feels modern, but it's old-fashioned at the same time. And I don't know if that was done on purpose or if it was the budgetary reasons, but at times it felt modern enough for you to think a character was going to pull a mobile phone out at any point. And then at other scenes it felt really old-fashioned with candles lit everywhere and stuff. So decent work by the set designers, I suppose, and the director at times to kind of make it feel like it's kind of in like another age, but still feeling modern. And I'm not really saying that particularly well, but decently presented as well, I suppose. But other than that, it drags. There's very little vampire action till the last 10 minutes of the film. The actor who they choose to play Count Dracula, even though he's not a bad actor, he's got very, very little charisma or personality and doesn't kind of project the role enough to kind of own the screen. Good Dracula actors in the past have owned the screen and demanded your attention, and unfortunately it doesn't happen here in this film. And it's definitely not going to have you on the edge of your seat. If you're a fan of Dracula or you're a fan of vampire films, this is very, very tame stuff indeed. The quality is not as bad as you might expect, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good either, because it certainly isn't. So I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 10. One to avoid, guys. So thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.